All right, today we're jumping into a really fascinating section from the book Zazen. We're going to be exploring two hidden systems that run our bodies, our nerves and our fascia. And we'll dig into the book's claims about how these systems might just be the secret key to everything, from an athlete's lightning-fast reflexes to a meditator's deep inner peace.
So let's kick things off with a couple of puzzles that the text throws at us. First, why is it that people deep into meditation practice sometimes just hit a wall? I mean, this overwhelming agitation just comes out of nowhere. And on the flip side, how can elite athletes react so fast that it seems to literally defy the known speed of our own nervous system?
Okay, so to even begin to answer those questions, the book Zazen takes us down a path that, well, it's pretty different from what you might hear in conventional medicine. It's a unique perspective on how our bodies are actually wired.
So think about it like this. The conventional view, right? It's all about one main nervous system, centered in the spine, and it controls pretty much everything. But the practitioner's view, which the book presents, is totally different. It proposes two major systems, and here's the wild part. The text claims that huge chunks of both of these systems are just dormant. They're asleep in most of us.
And this is where we get the first clue to that meditator's restlessness. It's all about those inactive nerves. Imagine the brain's trying to get a signal through, but it gets nothing back. It's like trying to make a call in a dead zone. The brain gets uneasy, agitated, and it just starts creating all this mental static.
The book uses this incredible analogy. The brain is the commanding officer, and the nerves are its messengers. But what happens when some of those messengers can't deliver the message, or, more importantly, report back? Well, the officer just gets frustrated and keeps shouting the same order over and over, flooding the system with bioelectric signals and stress hormones. It creates this storm of internal noise.
Okay, so that might explain the restlessness. But what about those athletes? You know, the superhuman reaction speeds. For that, we have to look at a whole other system that the book talks about, the fascia network. So nerve signals, right? They travel at about 20 meters per second. Now that sounds fast, but for a really tall basketball player, that's a 0.1 second delay from when their eyes see the ball to when their body can actually react. In pro sports, that's not just an eternity, that's game over. It's way too slow.
So you gotta ask, right? If the main nerve highways are just too slow for that kind of elite performance, what else is going on? There has to be something else at play, and the text argues that there absolutely is.
And the answer, according to this text, is fascia. Now, if you've ever handled raw meat, you know that thin, silvery, super resilient film on it? That's fascia. And it's not just on meat, it's a web that runs through your entire body from head to toe. The book says this network acts like an instant communication system that reacts at the same time as the brain, totally bypassing the spinal cord's speed limit.
So, okay, we've got these two incredible hidden systems. But here's the catch. The book says they also create a huge problem for us. Because as we get older, or even just from sitting around too much, this all-important fascia network starts to get stiff.
And this is where it gets kind of scary. The book describes this chain reaction, a domino effect. It starts in this one tiny area in your lower abdomen, but from there, it just starts pulling everything down, collapsing your torso, making your shoulders hunch, shrinking your chest cavity, and even cutting off proper blood flow. It makes deep diaphragmatic breathing pretty much impossible.
And here's the real takeaway. This stiffening, the text identifies it as the root cause for so many things we just chalk up to getting older. You know, cold hands and feet, high blood pressure, even that constant nagging feeling of anxiety or that tightness in your chest. Okay, so that's the bad news. But the good news is, now that we see the problem, the text lays out some really clear, practical ways to reverse this whole process, to wake these dormant systems back up.
So, for the fascia, the book gives us two main tools. The first is physical, targeted exercises like sit-ups or prostrations that go right after that stiff abdominal area. The second one is really wild. It's a visualization technique. You actually use your mind, your focused awareness during meditation, to consciously push blood flow back into those stiff, rigid parts and bring them back to life.
Then there's the neck. The text calls it a critical hub, right? The main connection point between brain and body. And activating the nerves there, well, it means better posture, like sleeping without a pillow, doing specific neck exercises, and, this is a big one for all of us, taking a digital detox, reducing the time we spend looking down at our phones and computers.
And this isn't just some new theory. The book presents this as ancient applied knowledge. It traces it all the way back to Bodhidharma.
The story goes that he found his monks were too physically weak for intense meditation, so in response, he created these famous Shaolin arts, like the muscle tendon transformation classic, specifically to re-engineer their bodies for this kind of physical and spiritual work.
So, what's the end game here? If you actually succeed in this practice, what's the ultimate physical sign that you've got a fully activated system? What does that even look like?
Well, according to the text, the final result is something you've probably seen 1,000 times, but maybe never really understood. It's the Ushnisha, that protuberance, that bump you see on the head of Buddha statues. The book frames this not as some mythical symbol, but as one of the 32 physical marks of enlightenment, a tangible, physical outcome that is achieved through this very practice.
So let's just pull all this together. The core idea from the text is this. We have these dormant nerve systems that can make us restless, and this incredible fascia network that allows for instant reaction. But over time, they both stiffen up, causing all sorts of problems. The good news is there are specific practices to wake them back up. And that brings this ancient wisdom right into our lives today. The text basically says that the very same nerve pathways you need for deep meditation are being compressed and deactivated every single time you look down at your phone. Which leaves us with a pretty provocative question, doesn't it? Is it possible that our daily habits are unknowingly shutting down our body's deepest potential?